Y'all, Sharknado.
Oh my God.
We watched them all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so deep in a Sharknado hole. I'm not sure you'll be able to extract me. I watched documentaries. I watched mockumentaries. I watched all the films. We've known we were going to do this episode for a while, so I had time.
One of these summers, I really want to see them show up at like Monster Palooza or something.
Oh, it'd be so cool.
Like Ian Ziering and Tara Reid, just because there's such a following.
I mean, they really should. I imagine some of the other characters maybe have shown up, but it would be such a great thing to just show up like they're the cast of Scream. You know what I mean? Like just
unapologetically. They'd have a line.
Yeah.
There's a huge following.
Oh, huge. At something like Monster Palooza, although that probably not quite right because it's about monsters, I guess. I get that.
Maybe like Midsummer Scream or something?
Midsummer Scream, absolutely.
And it's perfect, right? Because it's right around Shark Week.
Perfect. It would be perfection. Around 2013, the first Sharknado came out. And there are 6 films in this franchise. And yes, I called it a franchise because it definitely is.
It is.
Because these movies tell the story. Trust me when I say they tell the story. So there's Sharknado, Sharknado 2, Sharknado 3, Sharknado The Fourth Awakens, Sharknado 5, Global Swarming, and the last Sharknado, It's About Time. So let's just talk about the original Sharknado for a moment. So obviously this stars Tara Reid, and Ian is how you pronounced it?
It's Ian, yeah.
Okay, so Ian. This was the first one, right? They tried to get a bunch of money. Nobody wanted to do this movie. Nobody wanted to give them the money to do this movie. Steve Guttenberg was supposed to be Ian's character.
Oh my gosh, really?
And he said, no, thank you very much. And then later, of course, he does a cameo in like 4 or 5. But later he's publicly said like, whoops, because it became this cultural phenomenon, right?
When I know that Ian also, like you're saying, he was like, I got to feed my family and I haven't worked in a little while, so I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. They originally, you know, his agent and wife, I guess everyone was like, there was another baby on the way in his family. So he had to take it for that reason. And he didn't want to do it. And there was this big revolt on the set while they were shooting the first movie around, because they had to hide the name of the film to get any of the actors to agree to film it.
I can understand why.
Yeah, me too. So there's an original name to the film, and I don't want to say it because maybe we're going to do some Sharky facts, and who knows if she's included that, so I don't want to ruin the answer, but there's an original title that I'll say if it's not a fact. They pitched it with that title. All these actors signed on, and they're filming the movie, and then it's revealed that they're going to call the movie Sharknado. And though literally the cast got together and tried to boycott that and had to be talked down off the ledge, because if it wasn't Sharknado, come on. Like, what a fucking brilliant trash horror name. But I guess Ian, fancied himself a serious actor and did not want to be connected to this. Mm-hmm. Wanting to do serious stuff. And from my understanding, I did watch a couple of documentaries. There's a doc on Tubi right now called Sharknado Feeding Frenzy. And there's a couple of them on there, actually, so you could go down a little rabbit hole with that. But apparently he said, all right, once he had decided to do this movie, he decided, I have to take it incredibly seriously. That is the only way this will work, is if I am in this, like, this is the most serious thing. And if you watch all 6 movies, he does, and it sells it. It's the right choice.
Yep.
You have to believe that he believes that he's a hero.
Yep.
And that it's all very serious, because the amount of shenanigans that happen in these movies is fucking ridiculous. Like, as we go through these movies and describe them, there's no way to not laugh. It's hilarious, but if he's not serious, it's not funny.
It's so great because they do a really good job at making sure that people know that although Ian and Tara take their roles very seriously, that the film doesn't take itself seriously. Because I think what doesn't work is when the audience is confused about, is this supposed to be serious? Because this is horrible. But if you make it known that it's supposed to be horrible, all the while having your actors commit to the seriousness of it, that's where I think it really works so well, is because as an audience, we did know they weren't taking themselves seriously, but the characters didn't know that, and they took themselves very seriously. So you get both, and it's fucking hilarious.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen the Sharknado mockumentary?
I haven't. No.
It's called Heart of Sharkness.
I will watch it.
Instead of Heart of Darkness. Instead of Apocalypse Now, Heart of Darkness, it's Heart of Sharkness. And it's fab. It's a mockumentary, and I laughed so hard. You have to be in that space, though, right? Like, if I watch a mockumentary and I'm not in the mood, I think it's the dumbest shit ever.
Oh, yeah.
But I was in a Sharknado hole, so watching this, I didn't know what I was literally pushing play on all of the to-be Sharknado shizzle.
Okay.
And so it was like after a couple documentaries, I pushed play on this. So I didn't know. I thought it was just another documentary. And all of a sudden, it's like a student film, but with, obviously slightly more money. And it's a mockumentary of this like new cast that's been, the premise is that it's a new cast that's been hired to shoot the next Sharknado. And they're just a bunch of misfit idiots. and then they start getting injured on the set in all by sharks and this and that and all, and like legs are flying off and gore, and
I love it.
it's pretty funny. I think it's only like an hour long or something. It's a silliness.
I love that they've taken something that started off as this risk, and it's become this incredibly successful franchise. Like you said, I would consider it that too. And you can see through, and we're going to go through the films, but you can see how at the beginning they weren't sure how corny they wanted it to be. But as it started to build its reputation and people started to find it, like it had a cult following, they doubled down as it went through.
Absolutely. The brilliant thing about this is that they didn't know that this was going to happen. Nobody ever really does. They didn't know, but what ended up happening is they live previewed it because they knew they couldn't do anything other than that. They live viewed it on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi channel, and they had the directors and everything. And this is in the days which is really relatively recently, because we all did this during COVID, where you could do live, you were watching things live and you were having conversations on Twitter. You were watching the Twitter hashtag of that movie and having conversations with a bunch of people. I used to do this during COVID with like the Joe Bob community. And it was all of a sudden the directors and stuff, wake up the next day and there's like millions and millions and millions and millions of comments. And they all of a sudden they were a worldwide cultural phenomenon, because the great thing about Twitter was that it was all over the world. Yeah. So and then it just exploded. What did you think of this first movie on this watch?
Oh, I liked it. I liked it from the first time I saw it. I thought it was a lot of fun. My opinions changed throughout the series about the different ones, but just watching Sharknado in isolation is like just a film. The word that comes up for me is it's just fun. If you allow yourself to lean into it and watch it for what it is, it's like watching the movie Twister, but with sharks. They're like storm chasers, basically. Before we get into all the craziness of the storylines that continue from this first one, this original film on its own is just really funny. And it does kind of leave you going, I hope they make more, because it's fun. It has this Twister / horror comedy with actors that were all at some point at the top of their careers now doing this film, which I think is super effective, as you have what were once like A-rated actors now knowing and allowing themselves to lean into the fact that they're now B-rated actors and giving us that, like going along with the joke. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that was probably the hard thing for Ion at that
Oh,
moment.
for sure.
Because he didn't identify that way at the moment.
Until he made that commitment and said, you know what?
I'm going to go with it then.
I'm going to go with it. And it worked.
Absolutely. It's really low budget, but it's low budget genius. You can just see. This one is setting in LA, so that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of jokes around the 405, and they even mention Shark Week and stuff like that. It's one of those movies where it's so bad it's good. So you have to go into it like that. Before we get into all of the other movies, the other 5 flicks, let's do something that we like to call
Shark Effects with Dale. I love the seagulls and the bing, like commercial break.
like a boat, like a commercial break. Anyway, that is Kathy's Horror Facts with Kath Sharknado version.
Well, I just wanted, before I get into this, I wanted to ask you what the working title was, because that is not one of my questions.
Dark Skies.
Oh, nice.
And that jingle was created just for you by Mannequin Uprising. So.
Nice. Thank you. This first one you already gave the answer to, but we'll do it anyway.
Oh. See, I was trying not to.
Which other 90s actor was offered the lead role of Finn Shepard but turned it down?
Okay.
Number 2, how long did it take to shoot the first Sharknado? Number 3, due to the cult following the film received, it was awarded this, and there's 3 choices. The first one is a one-night theatrical release, a Chainsaw Award, or its own holiday.
Okay.
Number 4,
I would like Sharknado Day. I'm just sorry.
Me too. How old was Ian Ziering when playing 16-year-old Steve Sanders on Beverly Hills 90210?
45. No.
And then lastly, what is Sharknado 2 especially known for within the series?
Yeah.
What did it do for the series?
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. We will get the answers to that at the end so that we can be aware. So let's talk about Sharknado 2. You want to set that one up?
While Finn and April are in New York City to promote April's book, How to Survive a Sharknado and Other Unnatural Disasters, about the Los Angeles Sharknado, the city is hit by severe storm causing new Sharknadoes to emerge.
So this one's in New York, right?
This is the New York one.
Yeah.
We get to see Vivica A. Fox pop up in this one, and she's really fun in this.
She is, and she comes back later. And, the great thing is, you think people are dead. They're never dead.
No, and I think one of the funniest scenes in this one for me with her is when she's fighting the sharks on the roof of the building.
Oh my God. Amazing.
The scenes in these, you guys, if you've not seen it, the way they kill the sharks, they like defy gravity.
That's what I love about the first one. When the famous scene when Ian stands on top of the car and he does a back bend. It's one of his signature moves later.
Yes, yeah.
He does a back bend and puts the chainsaw through the middle of the shark. It's fucking beautiful.
And it's like slow motion sometimes. Yeah. So that she was my favorite character in this because they make her, real tough.
She's great.
Yet she's doing the most ridiculous shit. And this scene where she's on top of the building cracks me up.
And she has a crushy crush on Ian.
On Finn.
Yeah.
And the
Finn.
names.
Ian's the
Finn
main
and
character's
Gil
name is Finn.
and all the...
Yeah,
oh my
I know.
God.
I was like, when the Gil character, which is Finn's son, names him Gil.
After his father.
There's a lot of, like Mark McGrath is in this, for Christ's sake. There's a lot of New York stuff in here. The Naked Cowboy is in there. Matt Lauer, Al Roker from Good Morning America, which is very,
the whole
very
Today
New York.
Show.
Yeah, the whole Today Show is there. I mean, one of the Williams sisters is in this. Judd Nelson, right, is in this. Like a Jared from Subway. When we did not know.
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
that's
a
right.
pedophile.
There's so. I just also want to say, let me make sure I'm on the right one here.
Kelly
Hold on a second.
Ripa.
Can we? Okay, so there's so many chainsaws in this one. First of all,
So many.
but the Today Show massacre is also a great
Oh
scene.
my God, it's so good.
I think it was Tara maybe said it to him. No, Finn says it. You're not going to need this again. And he throws her arm and takes the ring. Like the arm was off her body. Like, she had
yeah.
lost her arm.
Tara loses her arm.
You're not going to need this anymore. And he takes the ring off of her finger and throws the arm into the water. But he does. I mean, I'm so glad you clarified that he committed, because when he says those lines that could have otherwise, he could have gone over the top and it would have shown that he really hated it or wasn't taken seriously. He was like Academy Award winning in those moments.
It's amazing because this movie really starts because all the movies going forward have it, but the parody. So they really start these parodies with, and so this one has an airplane parody in it, Airplane, the movie from 1980 or whatever, because it starts on an airplane and shit's going wild and there's sharks in the sky, and there's also a Twilight Zone parody right off the mark, because Ian looks out to the plane and says there was something on the wing of the plane, which is a total rip from Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We noticed that too.
Yeah. There's so many of these. And so what you see is from here all the way to the last one, each movie, each characters, all the different things that happen, they're parodying famous comedy stuff. And that is so fun.
They do it all through, and they really start to double down in the later ones as well with that.
For sure. So
number 3. Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no. So fun.
I got a little bit, I don't know, disenchanted by this one just because I can't stand Frankie Muniz.
Started to have some Sharknado fatigue.
I just think this is, and I know we're going to go through our order, but this one just fell flat for me.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
And it was just because of him?
No, it just didn't help that he was in it. He's just incredibly annoying to me. But there's also some, we have more cameos. We have Mark Cuban. We have Jerry Springer. David Hasselhoff now comes in, starts playing, Gilbert. Gil, his dad.
His dad.
Tara and Ian are back. Bo Derek is in this one.
Mom.
Yep. So in that way, it's, the cameos are always fun.
Yeah, Jackie Collins even.
Jackie Collins. That's right. Jackie Collins.
Hoda and Kathy Lee.
I think that their scenes are really funny too. This one it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, I liked, David Hasselhoff and Penn and Teller and all the people that you see in this. You know how in these big franchises, it'll often be the one that jumps the shark. Pun intended.
Oh, I see what you did there.
You're welcome. On the one where they go to space is often like when Leprechaun went to space, like that was the jump the shark moment in that, like when it's just like, oh my God, this is actually really bad. So I think that this one did that, and they actually do go to space in this one. And the thing I found about it was I would have rathered it either have been a military space thing, or they would have stayed. I would have loved it if they just stayed in Universal Florida.
Oh, I think that would have been really great because if they would have stayed there.
Yeah, they insert this whole thing where it's set at Universal, and that's where the daughter is and all of that.
That's where the whole massive Jaws ride is.
Yeah, but then they've started in the military, then they go to Universal Florida, then they go back to the military, then they go to space, and I'm just like, okay, now honestly, absolutely, the movies get weirder from here. However, I would have loved that didn't jive to me. It was like, okay, so they got a Universal thing to put Universal in the movie. They probably got money to do it, and then they just kind of artificially lumped that on top, and that just felt bad. I didn't like it very much.
The only part I enjoyed in this is where he gets his Presidential Medal of Freedom, and where he now becomes like an international hero, and so his character now is becoming like, the Superman, right? He's now a superhero to folks. People know who Finn Shepard is, and I think that bit is funny because that makes sense with now 4, 5, and 6 as well.
Yeah, that's the rip in this one. You always get parodies, so you've got parodies of Marvel, basically.
Yeah.
Iron Man. You've got rips of Iron Man. You've got all kinds of jokes that are kind of coming from the Marvel Universe. So if you kind of like that stuff, I don't know if you'll like this one more or not, because I love the Marvel movies, especially the first 20 years of them. You might like it more because of that, but this is the one where the baby's born, right?
Yeah.
Literally inside the shark.
Oh, that's right. At the end where she gives birth in the shark.
The last 15 minutes are fucking delightful.
He rips open the shark and pulls the baby and then her out.
Tara gets, I can't even. So this is where we start to explain things, like spoilers, obviously, but who cares? It's Sharknado. It's definitely more about the ride than the plot, so don't worry about it. Sharks are falling from the sky in space. Tara and Ian
and Gilbert. Gilbert's up there.
Because Gil is in his mother's womb.
Colonel.
Are in space, and they get eaten by sharks. Swallowed by sharks, I should say. Plummet to the earth. Land on the earth. Sharks are dead. Sharks have cushioned their fall. Ian crawls out of the shark. Delightful. Always delightful. He does that a lot. He does that in almost every movie. Then he goes over to the shark that Tara's supposed to be in, or Tara, and she chainsaws with her chainsaw hand now. Because she lost an arm at one point.
She has like a bionic hand.
Now she has a chainsaw attachment at the end of her hand that she chainsaws out of the shark and hands the bloody baby out to Ian. In other words, what you are left to presume is that she gave birth to this baby inside
the shark.
The shark falling from the sky.
That's a tough birth. But I love that, that scene where at the very end where he goes, I think I want to name him after my father, who I think we've been calling Colonel the whole time. So we don't know that his name is Gil. So now we have a Finn and a Gil.
I can't.
And it also leaves us with a cliffhanger.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. These movies are definitely tied. Like, you don't get to the end and understand all of the weird relationships that are happening without watching them all. I'm not saying you can't sit down and watch the last one and be fine, or any one of these and be fine, but watching them all in order gave me a new experience. So Sharknado 4 is The Force Awakens, obviously a Star Wars whip.
I like the Cownado in this.
The Cownado, yeah. Or wait, maybe this is the one where they go to Universal and it's...
No, you're right.
Okay,
3
good.
was Universal.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is the one with Gary Busey.
Oh, yeah. Tommy Davidson is also in this one. Cheryl Tiegs.
Oh, that's right.
Who plays Finn's mother.
Holy shit. So I think actually this is Marvel's more. Oh no, this is more the Marvel one because Tara is like Iron Man in this one.
Oh yeah, because she's got the bionic.
Yeah, and
hand.
Iron has a suit and everything. He comes in the Iron Man. Remember when Iron Man first made his suit and it was like this big Terminator looking thing? Or
yeah,
Transformer.
Thing?
He's got one of those in this one. I'm sorry, that's this one. So yeah, and this is the one Steve Guttenberg, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh yeah, that's right. Gary Busey plays April's rich father in this.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And he's a scientist.
There's a really great scene though that instead of a Sharknado, they have a Cownado and the cows are just
I know. They start to rip on different kinds of NATOs. This is where it sort of starts.
Doesn't that
an oil NATO. They have an oil NATO.
Well, in Twister, there's a scene where the cow gets pulled up in the thing, and I think that's probably yeah.
So again, there are multiple movie rips in every single one of these homages, basically, where and this is what the fans come to want. After number 2, you sort of show up for the shark kills, the serious acting, like it's all very serious, and the bizarre shark being, eaten, swallowed by sharks and surviving and all those things. But you show up for all these parodies, I think, is one of the things they became very, very, very known for. And number 5 is the global one.
Global swarming.
It's the time travel one, you guys. They go back to
No,
dinosaur.
that's 6.
Oh, that's 6. Sorry. We'll talk about 5 then.
5 is Charo is the queen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. This one depicts Finn and his allies accidentally unleashing a new wave of Sharknadoes when they deactivate an ancient device that was actually keeping the Sharknadoes in check. The subsequent storms escalating to the point that they devastate the planet, leaving only Finn alive until he is met by a time-displaced version of his son Gil. So it is setting us up for 6.
Yeah.
However, this one is hilarious because Finn has this very emotional moment with April's head. Because she's now, we figure out that she, because we're not sure, between 3 and 4, she may have died, right? So then all of a sudden she's back and she's like, no, Finn, look what they did to me or whatever. And she's this robot, and that's much more relevant in 6 when shit really starts to hit the fan. But in this one, he has this moment where he's holding her head and he goes, stay with me. Stay with me. And she's like blinking like a robot, and the things like, the wires are hanging out of her neck. And he's holding her and he's like, no. And he's holding. It's such a great scene.
Oh my God.
And he's committed.
His Greek tragedy kind of voices when he does this, like he's like wailing and screaming, and she's wailing and screaming and grunting. Tara just grunts through the whole
good
thing. She's always like grunting and stressing and straining like she's a superhero.
So this one has a lot to do with the curse due to Stonehenge.
Yeah.
And then Fabio is the Pope in this one.
It's unbelievable. Margaret Cho is even in this.
It's so good.
I just remember that there was this one. He says because there's like a Shakespearean thing happening with the curses. He says, "Forgive me, Father, for I have finned." Oh. And I had to pause. I laughed so hard.
That's so good.
It's so fucking ridiculous. I can't even. All right.
Number fucking 6.
Wrapping it up. A year or 2 ago, I said to Kathy, I said, the last Sharknado, you have to fucking watch this movie because I have no words. So it's called The Last Sharknado. It's about time. And this is the time travel one.
Yes.
They go back in time and they start with the dinosaurs. And again, it doesn't make a ton of sense if you haven't watched the movie ahead of it. But you don't really care, you know what I mean? Like if you've watched it out of context, which I think Kathy had watched it out of context when
that time, yeah.
When I had said like, please watch this movie because it's fucking ridiculous and delightful and amazing, and I think my head exploded. They started with the dinosaurs, and it's just so much. It's just so silly. It is so funny, and then they go to like.
Camelot. They go to fucking Camelot. And my favorite drag queen.
Oh my God.
My favorite drag queen, Alaska Thunderfuck, plays Morgana. Bye. Okay, if you all have not seen RuPaul's drag show, please go back to the seasons that Alaska Thunderfuck is on, and she plays this like trans or I don't know
So
how
they
she's
go to like
identified.
the Excalibur.
And she's there.
And she's like the evil queen, basically. She's like the evil magic queen.
Hilarious.
And she's my favorite thing ever. So when I first watched this, it was dinosaurs. Amazing. I love dinosaurs. It was Morgana. It was Thunderfuck there. Hilarious. And then I think they go to the American Revolution.
Oh, Leslie Jordan is Ben Franklin.
Oh my God.
He's like, I hope I get remembered for being more than just the kite or something like that. Remember?
He asks the guy.
Yeah.
He says he's one of the Sharknado pals gang. He says, "Am I going to be remembered for more than just this kite?" And the guy goes, "No, not really."
Yeah.
That made me laugh so hard.
And then Twisted Sister. We have Dee Snider, who uses all these Twisted Sister references as the sheriff.
Amazing.
And Billy the Kid.
Amazing.
So the idea of this one, before Shannon and I go more into this rabbit hole, is that they're going back and they're trying to stop the first Sharknado from ever happening, which is why they start in the prehistoric era. And through this, leading up to it, is what has happened is all these folks who have died in the earlier ones, we figure out that Gil, the son,
he's like Obi-Wan.
He's figured out time travel, so he's gone to the future, and he's basically sacrificed himself to stop any of that from ever happening. So they now all end up in 6 together in these different parts of time, and so some of them are not even in their right bodies.
No. So they're like,
just hilarious.
"Who are you? What?" And it's like this.
He's like, Brian, and it's like some girl,
it's a black woman.
Yeah. He's like, some things don't get translated through time travel.
It's pretty epic and pretty amazing in my opinion. Gil becomes like an Obi-Wan character, so he's there in his little he becomes like the little projection.
When
figure.
they use the flux capacitor from
Yes.
Back to the Future
Yes.
as their thing to get back and forth. And
Yes.
then one of my favorite scenes is Tara's head in the shark when
Yeah.
it's flying.
Yeah. No, that's the best part.
Yeah.
Through this whole movie, Tara is robots and multiples with legs and things, and then she's also a head in a bag. I mean, I and she talks to him.
Yeah.
So,
Like deep conversation.
deep conversations. Well, he's holding the head in his hand while they're conversing. They go to the American Revolution. There's a Clinton impersonator there from Saturday Night Live. I forget that guy's name. He's hilarious. Everyone is in there. And they go to the American West, Billy the Kid. They do they go all these different places, all to culminate into this moment where Tara's head is in the mouth of a shark flying in the sky in the middle of the Sharknado. And Ian is there as well. And there's this point where they fly at each other and he kisses it's the moment where my head exploded. And I was like, Kathy, you have to see this movie. That is the moment. The moment where the head and Ian.
Daryl Hammond is his name. He plays George Washington.
Oh, he's so
funny
and
in
it's
this.
a great Clinton impersonation.
Yeah, he does a great
'Cause
Clinton.
He does Clinton too.
Tori Spelling does a cameo, which is hilarious.
She does.
But my God, LaToya Jackson is Cleopatra.
I mean, come on, you guys.
Kato Kalin, you guys, is in this.
Yes. Everyone was trying, and Benji from the Howard Stern movie is in a bunch of these. And I remember him talking about it on the Howard Stern show at the time and how he was so excited and he would talk about it on the show. And he was like, my big goal in life is to be in Sharknado and I'm going to audition and all this. So I heard it all like leading up to it. And then at the time I wasn't really watching Sharknado movies. So I just heard about it, all of it. And I never really went and saw his movie. But now I have, and he's throughout it. He's like a crazy guy on the street that reports about Sharknadoes, and he gets killed in almost every one of them.
Oh my
He
God.
just keeps getting killed in all
Keeps
the
getting killed.
Sharknadoes.
Oh, God.
All of this to say, let's rank these,
Okay.
shall we? I
Sure.
would like to know your ranking. So let me pull mine up here. Some of these were hard to. I couldn't quite decide where to put them, but. What is your least favorite? Should we go like that?
Yeah, my least favorite's number 3.
Okay. Least favorite's number 3. Sharknado 4, The Fourth Awakens, which I think I tried to correct myself earlier, is my least favorite. And this is the one where I felt like they jumped the shark and the best is yet to come because I think 5 and 6 kind of got them together. But I mean, it definitely has ridiculous merit. It just kind of, there wasn't enough Ian fighting sharks in this one.
Okay, fair.
Number 4 just didn't have, because what I tune into Sharknado for is ridiculous shark deaths and him fighting them, and they're just there wasn't that much of it in this one.
That's fair.
And that's why it's the least favorite of mine.
The one after that would be number 4.
This is where I put number 5, and this is where I struggled to put either number 3 or number 5 here because there's merits to both of them for me. I loved in 5 a lot of the stuff that was happening was a lot of fun, and then number 3, I see its issues as well, but then there was a lot of stuff that I really liked towards the end, and then I really liked the Universal part, even though that's not what they did. And 3 and 5 kind of jockey right there. So my bottom 3 are 3, 5, 4.
Okay, yeah, mine are 3, 4, and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my bottom ones.
So talk about why you don't like 2.
I thought after number 1, I mean, I don't think it's that I didn't like 2, but when I compare it with the rest of them, I liked it. I just didn't find myself as invested in it, like the New York City story with Mark McGrath and all that. It was fine, but I thought that the ones that got a little bit crazier, 5, I actually really liked 5, Global Swarming. Mm-hmm. And they started to add more of the cameos and just the weirdness to it. 2 was a bit anticlimactic after number 1, I felt. So if I had to put them in order, it's not that I didn't like it, but in comparison to these other ones, I was like, it just happens to go next.
Yeah, for sure. So my bottom three are 3, 5, and 4, and then my in third place would be Sharknado 2, the second one, because I actually did like that they went to New York, and I really liked that they started doing parodies.
Okay.
And there were all these wacky people in there, and that was really silly, and like that was just different. And I think that novelty, watching them in order, like that novelty really hit me, and I really enjoyed it as something like new, because after Sharknado and just trashy shark movie that's hilarious and has a place in cultural phenomenon, and then they just went a different direction a little bit. I kind of like that.
Okay.
And then Sharknado's number 2 for me, and my number 1 is the last Sharknado.
Yeah. So number 3 for me is the first Sharknado. And then number 2 for me is Global Swarming. And then number 1 for me is the last one as well.
That last one, man, they just nailed it, in my opinion.
yeah.
It was so out of bounds.
There's just it's undeniably the best, and maybe that's obvious, but I don't care. They had it together. They knew exactly by then who they were as a franchise and what they could now do, because they had the reputation of already having this cult following. So they didn't have to be as conservative in their efforts to like please people. It was like, we're just going to fucking go for it.
I mean, they just how many times can you say the last movie in any kind of franchise is the best one?
Almost never.
Rare.
Almost
super
never.
rare.
Yeah.
They had a little bit of money. They did some dinosaur, like they just had this whole bizarreness, and they got to go all over the world and do all these different things. And I just thought the time travel thing was epic. It was a lot of fun. All right, so let's get our answers to the
Sharky Facts with Girl.
I like that
right.
you have to wait for the ding.
So we already went over this one, but as a reminder, which other 90s actor was offered the lead role of Finn Shepard but turned it down?
Steve Guttenberg.
That's right. How long did it take to shoot Sharknado?
18 days.
That's right. Due to the cult following the film received, it was awarded one night theatrical release, a Chainsaw Award, or its own holiday.
I think it was the one night.
Yep. They got one night in the theater. Number 4, how old was Ian Ziering when he was playing 16-year-old Steve Sanders on Beverly Hills 90210?
27.
26.
Oh, I was close.
And what is Sharknado 2 especially known for within the series?
Well, I would say the parody stuff, but I don't know.
It's where the trademark celebrity cameos began.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm going to give myself that one.
You should.
Kind of, sort of.
That's the best you've ever played.
I know. I went down a Sharknado hole.
You did.
Trust me when I tell you. I feel well NATO'd.
Well NATO'd.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We hope you enjoyed this, and we hope we've inspired you to watch a little shark trash. This has been an episode of Terror Talk. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Kathy. Sleep safe, everyone.